So Doubt Spartan asks, how do you restore confidence, right? How do you fix your mental after you've gone through a really tilting experience? Not through like blaming your teammates and stuff, but through like losing confidence in your own gameplay, through kind of not believing in yourself, like that kind of losing confidence in your skill, and like thinking you're trash, right? So the number one thing to do is to kind of ask like how, like what happened, what changed, right? Because it's very very rare that you feel these kind of feelings without something changing, right? So what are some sparks? And Doubt Spartan, if you have a reason, like feel free to type it. If anybody else has a reason, feel free to type it in Twitch chat. But the biggest thing here is like new champions, right? Learning champions is a big one, right? This is a big time that we tend to lose confidence. Losing streak, right? Or I'll put lost streak, I guess makes more sense. A lost streak, like a really big lost streak. Frustration with constant mistakes and not knowing how to fix them. Okay, so kind of frustration, lose confidence in Riot. Yeah, I don't think. Frustration in mistakes. Okay, so these are good. Laning frustration. Okay. Lane mistakes. And this is again frustration again, so I'll just write frustration at the end. Frustration. Okay, so learning a champion, lost streak, frustration and mistakes, frustration and lane mistakes, right? So these are things that cause us to lose confidence, and these are all kind of mentality things, right? Like confidence isn't something tangible, it's not something you can hold. It's more something that it's a state of mind, right? It's a feeling, it's an emotion, right? So what causes us to have confidence and what causes us to lose confidence? Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing to talk about. What gives you guys confidence? What gives confidence? And here, I'm gonna write this in blue just for some color clarity here. Gives confidence. Things that give confidence are things like having a good game, right? Good game. Having a good game, leaving lane, right? Good lane. Good lane. Right? Good game, good lane. Yeah, good teammates, sure. Teammates. Bad opponents. Maybe like a free dub, like a free win, right? If somebody has a troll or something. Not dying, like good stats. Good stats. All right. What about, how do you guys feel about like learning, right? Do you guys gain confidence when you know you learned something from a game? Because this is going to be a big point. Learning. All right. So a big point I have here, right, is there's a lot of these things that you can't necessarily control, right? If we just take a look, can we control if we have a good game or not? No, actually here, I'm gonna put down effort down here as well, right? And the big thing that I'm going to kind of make a line here, and asking, can we control these things? Can we control if we get a good game? Can we control if we get a good lane? Can we control our teammates? Can we control bad opponents? Can we control if we get a free win? Can we control good stats? No, right? So we can't control these things, right? And we can control how much we learn and how much effort we put in, right? That's all we get. So step number one, it's very common players with bad mentalities will just focus on things that they can't control, right? They focus on the external instead of the internal. So it doesn't actually matter. The outcome of the game doesn't matter at all. Your teammates don't matter at all. Your opponents don't matter at all. All that matters is kind of the effort you're putting in and the learning, right? Over a long period, right? So this is like step number one. This is kind of the most common loss of confidence. If you're consistently low on confidence, the first thing to do is realize that whenever you go into a game, you control how much you focus and how intense you are, and you control how much you take out of that game. And if you play focused and you learn a lot, then you improve. Right? If you do that 100 games, it's kind of impossible that you don't climb. But if you play 100 games and you're like, oh yeah, I got a good game. Oh, sweet, I'm big and confident. And then you lose a game because you made some mistakes and you had bad teammates. And now it's like, holy shit. So the first thing to do is kind of take the pressure off of yourself. Recognize the outcome of the game is out of your control. Recognize that stuff that's out of your control you shouldn't worry about. You worry about the things you can control, the learning and the effort. So like that's step number one. These other things are maybe not as permanent, right? So let's say whatever. You do this a lot and you're learning, but you're learning a new champion and you lose a lot. So you still lose confidence. What do you do, right? Well, the first answer is when we're learning a new champion, it's important to know that it will take a good amount of time, right? It depends on who you play. It depends on kind of your game knowledge and stuff, and different people play different. But you can expect it to take like at least a month to bring your champion up to your level, right? So if we're learning a champion, what should we do? Don't play it in solo queue right away. So there's a couple of things we do to maintain confidence while learning a new champion. I'm just going to draw an arrow over here and draw the things we do. So the first thing we do is don't play on main. Don't play on main solo. Main solo. Right? You can go into normals, you can go into flex queue, you can go into smurf. I don't care, just don't, right? If you're a Diamond 4 player and you're a Riven 1 trick, don't just pick up Gwen and think that you can just play her on your main account. You can't. I promise. The first couple games might go well, but it's very common when you learn a new champion. The first games go well, and then you start learning things, and then you get really, really bad for like 20, 30, 40, 50 games. And then you kind of get back up, right? It's very normal. So like this might happen. You might win a couple games like, oh yeah, I can keep playing it on my main. But when this down comes and you lose this confidence, now you're lost and now you're screwed and you have no clue what to do, right? The first things first, don't play it on your main account, right? Or play it on flex or normal, whatever. Normals are powerful. If you're learning champions, especially for low player, right? So don't play on main solo. The second thing you do is don't spend, or like, I guess what's a more positive way I can say this? Spend time on main, right? Spend time on things you're confident on. Right? Again, let's use the Riven example. If you're a Diamond 4 Riven 1 trick, and you're trying to figure out how you can get out of Diamond 4, and you're trying to pick up a new champion, right? You don't just play that champion all day, every day, all night, because, again, when you have a downside and you lose your confidence, and now you go back to your main champion, and now you can't play that champion anymore either because, like, your perspective's shifting from a new champion, and you're worried about all these mistakes, and you're stressed out, and it's really, really bad, right? So, like, what I recommend is pick a day out of the week, or 2 days out of the week, or spend your time half and half, right? Start on your main champion for the day, play 2 or 3 games, and then play the last couple games on learning the new champion. Whatever, just split it up, right? If you spend all your time on that new thing, which you're bad at, and you know that, then it's going to destroy confidence for everything, right? So this is how we fix this. Don't main solo. Spend times on things you're confident on, right? And this is true for anything, right? If you're trying to learn something, and you go in with a learning objective, and you go in there and you're like, okay, well, I came out of this game and I learned this shit, whatever. If you lose a bunch while doing that, you can go back to what gives you confidence, right? This is a mistake when people get coaching, and this is a mistake that I used to make, right? And I first learned about this when I would play sports. A sports coach would give me, and I'll use, table tennis. For you guys who don't know, I was like a top level table tennis amateur in my state. And like my coach would tell me something, right, with my mechanics. And he'd be like, oh, when that happens, you actually have to like step out with one leg rather than jump out there, right? And then I would rewrap my entire game and I would just overstep all the time and I would stop moving, right? So somebody tells you something It opens up your view. Your mental stack is now overflowed, and you lose confidence because now you still can't step out there because that's a skill you haven't learned, but now you don't do what you were doing well before either, right? So when we're learning things, it's important not to kind of overwrite everything. When we're learning, we have our game. You look and you shift one part at a time. You shift it, you look back, you review how it did, and you keep shifting and moving and shifting and moving. People think that you can kind of just, we talk about building a house as improving. You can't just rebuild the entire house, right? When we improve, it's a lot more like improving parts here and here and here, right? When we're starting, we try to lay a good foundation. If I'm coaching a Diamond Plus client, I'm not going to be able to rewrite your game. You have so much. That foundation is locked in, and you already have a little bit of a house built up. All I can help you do is paint the outside and renovate the inside, right? I can't help you rebuild the whole thing. That's the beauty of being in low elo, right? We get to build our foundation, good habits and stuff. But yeah, so just spend time on things you're confident on. That's huge. It's huge. Letting mistakes and frustration. Yeah, frustration and mistakes in general. For this one, it's kind of the thing we talked about earlier where you just want to make sure that you're focused on recognizing that if you can see your mistakes, that's step one. And then being able to shift and knowing that it takes time and knowing that you're learning. If you're seeing the mistakes, you're learning. If you're not making the mistakes, well, if you can't see that you're not making the mistakes, then that's when people get hard stuck. Because you know you're making the mistakes or you wouldn't be at the rank you're at, right? So if you can't see the mistakes, that's where the problem's at. If you can see mistakes, this needs to be a positive thing, right? Positive. And that's a big thing about League, right? If you could perceive positivity in situations, even in situations that appear negative at face value, right? That's a big thing that kind of fixes my mental. Is if you can perceive, is it I before E? No, it's I have no clue actually. If you can perceive positivity, these things become less annoying, the game becomes more enjoyable. Also, this is a positive situation, right? It's a valuable game, a game you make mistakes, right? It may not be a good game, but it's a valuable game. Perceive, it is I after E, shoot. I after E except before C. I should know that. I should go back to school. But yeah, does that make sense? Did I answer questions on confidence and how to rebuild it? Are there any other reasons we lose confidence or kind of anything else we want to touch on before we wrap it up? But yeah, there's not a lot on kind of confidence and stuff, but why you lose it, how to get it back, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? That's why I play a lot more draft or flex rather than purely solo duo. Yeah, yep. So that can help, right? If you're trying different things and you think that you can try it in your main elo where you are playing your best, that's kind of delusional. And then if you lose confidence at that, it's of course, man. If you want to go into your main elo and try something, but be okay with losing, that's fine. But know that you're going to lose if you're trying something new. It always gets better it always gets worse before it gets better in terms of improving, right? Especially when it comes to micro and new champion. Macro is a little bit different because if you learn a new concept, you can kind of just apply it right away and it makes you win more games. But if you're improving micro at a skill, at your clicks or your APM or your dodging or learning a new champion, you're going to get worse before you become better, right? That stuff makes sense? Yeah, good. Looks like I think that's solid. I think that's a good solid starting point. If you guys watch this YouTube video, thanks for watching this YouTube video. Come check out the stream. We do these coach Q&As at the end of every stream. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments and let me know how you like this first coach Q&A.